Have you ever lit a match or a Bunsen burner and wondered why the flame always points upwards? Well, today we're going to look at how flames know which way is up. So here I've got an old school favourite, a Bunsen burner, and I'm just going to light it up and we're going to have a look at how the flame behaves. You'll notice it knows which way to go. The flame always points upwards, but a lot of people might argue, well, that's because of the pressure of the gas coming out of the Bunsen. But I'm sure your teachers won't be very pleased if you do this, but have you ever thought of turning the Bunsen burner on its side? And if you do that, the flame still seems to know which way is up. It's probably not such a good idea to do it that way, but it still knows which way is up. Even if you put it on the roaring Bunsen flame, it's often difficult to see, but you can see the tip of the flame pointing upwards. This is quite unusual, and it's going to take a bit of explaining. Let's light up the Bunsen again and take the experiment just a little bit further. So, there's our flame of the Bunsen, and we know now it knows which way is up. But you might have noticed something else when you use Bunsen burners, that over here you can move your hand quite closely and it doesn't get burnt. You don't really feel much heat coming off it. But it's obviously very hot in the yellow bit, but it's still hot right up here, and it's still pretty hot right up here. So something interesting is happening. We're finding that we're getting heat above the Bunsen, and if we turn it through an angle, we still get heat above it. I can't hold my hand there very long, but beside it I can keep my hand there for a great length of time because the heat doesn't seem to be travelling very well in that direction. And an explanation of this is an explanation of how the flame knows how to go upwards. So here's a really nice little experiment. Earlier on, I took a flat piece of card and drew a circle on it and cut out the circle, and then cut round that circle into the centre to turn it into a spiral. I then hung the centre of the spiral off a little bit of cotton, and it hangs down and produces a really nice sort of curly helix shape. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the Bunsen in a minute and see what happens, and this will go a long way to explaining why flames know to go upwards. So if you've not seen this before, it's quite fun. So let's light the Bunsen and see what happens. It's a lovely little experiment, this, and it demonstrates convection currents. And this is how a flame knows to go upwards, and it's that I'm going to explain next. So this lovely experiment goes a long way to explaining how flames know which way is upwards. What we're seeing is a convection current. The hot flame heats the air around it. The hot air expands. Because it's expanded, it's less dense, and if it's less dense, it rises. Hot air knows which way is up. So we now know why flames go upwards. If I go back to the more visible yellow flame pointing upwards, we know that the hot gases here are causing the air around to expand, and that hot air is rising because it's less dense. So it's the difference in density that lets the flame know which way is up. There's one more thing I'd like to show you before we go, and this will really annoy your teachers. Take a Bunsen burner and bang it really hard on the desk. And you'll notice something quite unusual happening. When you bang it, the flame changes colour from blue to orange. This works best in chemistry labs rather than physics labs, but it's really interesting and we'll need another video to explain that effect. So, I do hope you enjoyed that experiment, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.